Alright, I've got a number of other videos about working with file upload questions in Power Automate. And one of the questions that people have, or comments I get a lot, is how do I handle, what do I do if I have multiple file upload questions in a form? How can I attach them all to an email, or how can I save them all to SharePoint, or whatever it might be? Email's probably the most common, so that's the scenario we're going to go with. But it's actually pretty straightforward once you kind of get the concept of how to do it with a single file. Going to multiple files just basically means making a few small changes. So specifically to do this, what we need to make a couple of changes to our flow. So basically you need to repeat the parse JSON action. So basically in a flow where you're getting file upload questions data, you need to use parse JSON to format that data. You need to repeat that for each of the questions. There's no way around that. So basically you need to say for every one of those questions parse JSON so you get that into a proper format. Then what we'll do is we'll merge the output of all of those parse JSON actions, because they're all going to look the same. They're going to have the same format, so we can merge them all together into a single array. And then we can use that merged array as the input for the loop where we build the array of files to attach. So sounds simple, but let's jump over to the flow and take a look at it. So first off, let me just show the form I have. Basically, I've got Q1 and Q2 and Q3 here. They are all required questions, and they're all file upload questions. Now in my flow, it's basically set up now where I'm simply getting the parse JSON data for question 1. I'm initializing a variable called var files. This is an array variable. Very important that you make it an array variable or this will not work. And then in this loop here, I am, for each entry or each file that's attached or that's referenced in this parse JSON output, I am getting the content of it and appending it to that var files array. Then I'm finally just sending an email to the form submitter or responder, and I'm attaching that var files array. So this framework is great because essentially whatever you put into that var files array will be attached. So you don't need to change anything about your email action. You just need to change what you're putting into that array. All right. So the first thing, as I said, we need to do is we need to add in a parse JSON action for each of the file upload questions. And I could add a new parse JSON action, but I can also just copy these. So I'm going to right click on it, select copy action, and then click the plus sign here and select paste an action, and there we go. So that's my Q1 copy. I'm just going to call this Q2. And then in the content, the input for that, I need to remove because what was there was question 1, so I need to add in the question 2 response data. And then I need to repeat that again, so I'll copy that action and I will paste it again. And then we'll call this Q3. And again, I need to remove the inputs, change it to Q3's response details. And so that's it. So now I've got the 3 parse JSON actions, 1 for each of the file upload questions. Now I need to merge those together. And this sounds more complicated than it is because there's a very simple expression called union that I can use to merge arrays. Now it has the added benefit if you're using it in other places of making those an array of unique values. So if you have duplicates, you can use union to deduplicate. In this case, that's not going to happen because each of those file upload questions is going to have unique data, but we still need to merge it together. So let me add an action in here, and I'm going to use a compose. Basically, when you want to use an expression in an action, a compose is a good way to do that because we're just building a value. So in compose, I'm just going to rename this to merge file file data. Call it whatever you want, just name it something that you'll be able to recognize. And then for the inputs, I'm going to click the function button or expression button here, and I'm going to use the union expression, open the parenthesis, and then down here I'm going to search for body, because what I need to merge is actually, sorry, dynamic content. What I need is the body of the 3 questions. Now I want to do it in order just to be kind of clean about it, so I'm going to go down to the Q1, select body. Now this is important. You need a comma, because you're basically, the way union works is you're specifying the first array, the second array, the third array, etc. So that is our first array, comma, and then go to Q2 and select body. And here it is very important that you select body and not anything else, because that body is all, basically body contains all of those other values. So you need to make sure to select body, another comma, and then go up to Q3, select body. And that's it. Click add, and you're good to go. So now we're merging together all of that file data into one big array. Now, this is where it gets really cool and really simple. In our for each, basically this is a for each loop or apply to each loop, and right now the input to it, or the input, the data it's using, is the output of that parse JSON Q1. All I need to do is delete this and change that to use the output of compose, because compose is merging together the bodies of Q1, 2Q, and 3Q3. So there we go. So that is that. And then basically that means that for that array, or for that collection of those, for all 3 file upload questions, it's going to get the file content, append the data, append the name and the file content to that var files array, and then send that as an email. So let me just save this, and we'll go back to my form, preview it, and we'll test this out. So I'm going to select a file for question 1, and I'm just randomly selecting documents that I've got, or images, or whatever I've got on my downloads folder here. And there we go. All right, so I've got a Word doc, a PNG, and another PNG. That's all good. I'll click Submit. Now we're going to go back over to the flow, and we can see that it is running. Let me refresh that. Still running. Might take a moment or two because that Word document might be a little bit on the large side. But we can see that in our for each, it is running for 3 items, because there were 3 files, 3 elements in that merged array. And then we've got the email. Now if I go back and check my email, because I am the form submitter, there is my form submission confirmation with the Word doc and the 2 images attached. So that's it. It's really not complicated. All you need to do is know that you need to repeat the parse JSON action for each file upload question, and then merge the output of all of those parse JSONs into one array using union, and then basically process the elements of that array through a for each loop to get the content and append the data to that var files array variable. And that's it. And incidentally, this will also work just as well if there are, if one of these questions allows multiple files. So let's say Q1 allowed 2 files or 5 files. This is going to work exactly the same, because it's doing the same thing. It's parsing the JSON, it's getting, but in that case it would be returning, if they attach 2 files, it's an array of 2 elements, but it's still going to merge the same way. So this gives you a lot of flexibility. Hopefully this clears things up and helps you to understand a little bit about how arrays work, how some expressions like union work, how variables work, and how loops work. So yeah, this is probably not, it's not the simplest thing in the world, but it's also not very complicated if you just take your time, understand the actions involved, and make the changes that you need to make it happen. So if you have any questions, comments, etc., leave those in the comments down below, and have a great day.